Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today we have got a lot to cover really. Gonna go deep, or not too deep, but gonna go into the grey reset a bit, because that thing's been advancing. Got some Bitcoin and crypto news and some charts and trades for the week ahead. So let's get into this. There's 4 key events this week, or major events that will impact the market. So we've got the big tech earnings from the likes of Apple and Microsoft. So of course, if these are above expectations, we can expect upward pressure on the market from that, and converse is true as well, of course. Bad earnings from these is likely going to put a lot of downward pressure on the indexes. FOMC is on Wednesday, and the Fed are expected to hike 75 to 100 basis points, so which one of those will it be? Or neither, of course. And the big question for me is this going to be the last hike? Are they going to say that they've got the CPI number under control, inflation is coming down, and therefore they can back off, they can step down a little bit? Or are they just hell-bent on continuing to hike rates into a slowing economy? Does that mean they cannot pivot to a pause in rate hikes? And does that mean that we are 100% certainly going all the way down to fresh lows in equities and, frankly, all risk assets? We will find out on Wednesday, of course. We've got Q2 GDP readout. So if this is below Q1, then the recession is officially confirmed. I think we've already kind of been in recession, to be honest, but it really depends on what sort of metrics you use. They will be using the 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. So if we get a Q2 GDP readout below last quarter, then recession is officially confirmed there. And of course, the WHO has come out and declared this chimp spots thing a national emergency. So let's just jump right into this. I got a quote here from Kissinger from a speech to the WHO Council on Eugenics from 2009. So if you don't know what eugenics is the scientifically erroneous and immoral theory of, I don't even think I can say this, improvement and planned breeding. And if you want an actual definition, so here's the dictionary definition: it's the study of how to arrange reproduction with the human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics that are regarded as desirable. Okay, so that's what that horrible word is. Once the herd accepts mandatory these things, inoculations, is game over. They will accept anything. Forcible blood or organ donation for the greater good. We can genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good. Control sheep minds and you control the herd. The makers of these horrible things stand to make billions, and many of you in this room are investors. It's a big win-win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays for the extermination services. So a truly disturbing thing that's going on right now. Of course, here's the news. They have officially declared the chimp spots a global health emergency as cases surge. But I just wanted to kind of point out something. They tell you what they're going to do months before they do it. Look for yourself, I said. There's a resistant strain planned to be announced in January of next year. I've said remind me of this in 6 months because I'm just sure it's going to happen. If you haven't seen this video, I will put a link right at the end of the video so you can go and watch that. This basically shows that with near certainty, we can expect to see this thing blow up and become a full-scale pandemic by the end of this year or early next year. So I'll put a link to that. You can go and watch that if you haven't already. Of course, this is all going to be coupled with a social credit system, and here's what it looks like in China already. It's about 5 or 6 years old, maybe more, in China. So
China already uses a social credit system where technology tracks everything you do and rates you based on your decisions. Criticize the government, and they'll take away your ability to travel.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen. The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy. plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
So that's China, and that's what they want to implement. Finally, one last clip before we get off of this topic of the Great Reset. This is the stage that we've gotten to now, where they just don't even care anymore. So I've got this 30-second clip here where they're just not even trying to hide it. At least at some point they were trying to do this in secret. Now it's so far advanced that they don't even care anymore. So look at this.
Have we ever tried to meddle in other countries' elections?
Oh, probably, but it was for the good of the system in order to avoid the communists from taking over. For example, in Europe, in 47, 48, 49, the Greeks and the Italians, we
don't do that now, though. We don't mess around in other people's elections, Jim.
Only for a very good cause.
That's enough of that. Look at the state of this. They just don't even care anymore. They don't even try and hide it. Meanwhile, they are systemically trying to destroy farming and cause global food shortages. Something else I've been warning about on my channel. Here in the UK, you can apply for a lump sum payment to leave or retire from your farming. So they really are just trying to get rid of the farmers and destroy food sources and cause food shortages. I've made a bunch of videos about this. Here's just a quick snapshot of my channel: the coming food catastrophe, food shortages and record inflation. This one's got a lot of, it's sort of a part 2 to this one, lockdowns and food shortages. So feel free to go and find that stuff. And lastly, before we move truly off of this, the World Economic Forum has called for an end to wasteful private car ownership. It's really time to start opting out of this system, to try to get your own money outside the system, to own Bitcoin and put it on a cold wallet, so that nobody can confiscate it and you actually have a chance at freedom in the future. That's why I do what I do. Let's get into the Bitcoin stuff. We can eliminate inflation with Bitcoin, says a US Senator candidate. Underneath this, I saw that somebody said, I'm pro-Bitcoin, but the theory that Bitcoin is an inflation hedge is just untrue. Thank you for calling out the elephant in the room. I saw this and I just kind of got triggered, so I thought we'd dive into this really quickly. I don't know how you can say this apart from just to not understand anything at all about Bitcoin and money and M2. So here in the white is the global M2 deviation from trend, and in the blue is the crypto total market cap year-over-year percent change. So as you can see, every time we get a deviation in the money supply, the M2 supply, what happens to the crypto market cap? It moves exactly with it. Okay, so how can you say this isn't an inflation hedge? Here's an even simpler way of looking at it. Okay, here's the M2 supply. When did we start to go parabolic in the dollar supply? Right around March of 2020. Okay, what happened to Bitcoin in March of 2020? It went up 1700 odd %. So whilst inflation has been 10-20% a year, depending on whether you trust their CPI number or double it like I do, Bitcoin has done Bitcoin things. There is no better inflation hedge than Bitcoin. To say things such as, can we address the elephant in the room? It just doesn't work as an inflation hedge. It's just to simply not understand the movement of M2, to simply not understand how money creation works, and to simply not understand how much Bitcoin moved up. I think the only time people can get away with saying this sort of stuff is when they came into the market here at the top or here at the top. Then yes, it has not served you well as an inflation hedge. It will over time, but it has not at the moment. And that's only because you entered the market here when they started changing the monetary supply all the way back here. Okay, so can we please move off from this topic? This is this has to stop. We can't just keep saying it's not a good inflation hedge. It's the greatest inflation hedge of all time. We can eliminate inflation with zero tax Bitcoin. Okay, so this is more or less the same tweet. It's just the other one added zero tax Bitcoin. We're seeing this adopted around the world. Look, the next UK Prime Minister could likely be a supporter of Bitcoin. So Rishi Sunak is, I think, likely to win. I don't really know. I don't follow politics. But it's his ambition to make the UK a global hub for crypto asset technology. And whether he becomes Prime Minister or not, I expect the statement here to become true and to remain true anyway. They are going to continue to adopt this, just like the United States is. At the same time, Mexico are talking about making this legal tender. So here we go. It's the same trend, isn't it? It's spreading worldwide. Bitcoin is consuming everything. A Binance card is now available in Argentina. So they're going to roll out more regions soon. #build. They're going to continue to do this. You are going to continue to be able to spend it. I showed a video recently of people buying coffee with the Lightning Network. So it does work as money. It is a good inflation hedge. It's the hardest form of currency on the planet. and the Bitcoin bear market could likely be coming to an end, according to Citibank. Citibank's not the only one. Plan C here. All I've been hearing is, bro, this time is different, but what about the macro, but war, but what about the contagion? Yet, so far from an on-chain and TA perspective, this cycle has rhymed with all previous major Bitcoin bottoms. A ton of data is indicating that we've already seen the low at 17.6k Bitcoin, and that was the bottom. The Bitcoin stablecoin supply ratio shows the amount of stablecoins present on the sidelines to purchase Bitcoin. This metric has just flashed a signal that historically coincides with big bounces on Bitcoin. I show these sorts of metrics nearly every video, a different one nearly every time. They're all telling us that we may well have seen the bottom. At the same time, the Pi cycle indicator has recently flashed a bottom, and since then, we've been apparently trending up, as you can see. So, am I calling for the absolute bottom? No, I don't know. I never know anything. Okay, I'm a breakout trader. All I do is draw lines and trade the breakouts. But it's entirely possible that we have seen the bottom. So with all that said, let's get into some charts. So starting off with the S&P, we got a breakout. It looks like the futures are slightly green at the moment, so we'll see if we can continue to move up here. I'm not super interested in taking on much risk until we've got direction from FOMC. So I want to see the Fed. I have some risk on already in place. If you've been following the channel, you'll know I don't need this yellow line or this little fractal thing. So going to continue to try and push this as much as we can. I've got the UKX open as well, which is looking quite like we've had a Monday shake and go. So I like the look of that. We'll see if we can get above these highs pretty sharpish. Still holding JD Sports, again, trying to push at least into here before I can consider taking some profit. Oil is telling us that we may well have seen peak inflation, isn't it? Still in a downtrend, so I'll continue to monitor that. Gold, I'm pretty sure we got a new cycle in gold. So again, I'd like to maybe wait until after Wednesday just so we can be sure that the Fed's not hell-bent on blowing everything up. But I would say there's a good chance of a bottom being in here. So a little bit more patience and we can take a breakout there. Silver is much the same, and I'm going to be playing this silver miner as well, because this is, if you're eagle-eyed will know, is the same setup as this and the Nasdaq. Downtrend, breakout, retest, resumption, consolidate under horizontal and go. Nasdaq, downtrend, breakout, retest, resumption, under horizontal and go. And this silver miner should be exactly the same. Downtrend, breakout, retest, resumption, consolidate under here and go. So is this a trade for me? Yeah, absolutely. But I want to see a daily close above this line. So I'll continue to monitor that, but expect me to come back in the next couple of days if the price is above this blue line and tell you that we've opened a long somewhere around here with a stop just below this, target in the top of the range. And this is one I'd be interested in pushing for a number of weeks if possible. Bitcoin is in a bull flag, or is it a downtrend? Coming back to reconfirm to flip the top of this into support, I hope. We shall see. Ethereum is off, but still kind of in a bull flag. This is starting to feel a bit like a BART to me, up, sideways and straight down. So we'll see. Lose these lows at around 1455 and I will be interested in taking some profit there and then waiting for a new entry. But for now, we're above this line, so that's all I really care about. MATIC, again, quickly zoom in to get some precision on this trend line. Yeah, it's not, to me, this isn't looking great. Not super strong. I talked about tennis ball action versus egg action. Tennis ball where we come down, bounce and go straight away. This is starting to look more like a splat, isn't it? But again, we've got FOMC and a lot going on this week. It's entirely possible that the markets are just going to want to see what Wednesday is saying and then go from there. So perhaps this is just going to continue to form some sort of pennant and go. But we've got quite a nice little setup going on here. So close below that on a daily time and I'm out. Close above that and we'll continue to push to the top of the range. What's left? Dollar coming down into this trend line. We have broken the parabola. So is this the end of the move? Are markets pricing in that the Fed is going to pivot to a more dovish stance? Is it going to tell us on Wednesday that they're ready to perform their dovish pivot and go to pausing rate hikes? Is this going to be the last rate hike, and does this catalyze the breakdown? I would think that rather than just come straight down here, it's at least going to get a bounce to a lower high. That's what I would think. So we've got to be open to that, some sort of bounce and then a lower high and breakdown. But for now, it's right into support, isn't it? Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we basically do nothing until we've got direction and clarity from the Fed on Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on that. And lastly, the yields have, look at this, broken down. Thinking about taking out these lows. There's more lows down here just below. So we'll soon find out. But a good sign so far that we might have seen peak inflation. And that the narrative might be changing to one of growth. Growth, of course, could be outweighed if we get relatively good earnings from big tech and perhaps a bullish GDP readout. But I'm not banking on any of this. I'm going to play the market as it comes to me. I'm not going to try and predict. I'm not going to try and guess. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing, continue to push the trades I've got open, as I've already mentioned. And ultimately on Wednesday, when we've got some clarity, then I can decide what I want to do. But for now, I'm going to push the trades I've got open. I'm going to be lining up gold and silver. Look, gold and silver looks like they want to start a decent rally. And I really like the look of this silver minus setup, just because this is the same setup I always like to play over and over and over again. So that's it from me. If you found value here, please do drop a like, share this video around, subscribe if you're not already. If you want to see more from me from trading and Great Reset and crypto news, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. And until tomorrow, I'm your boy Camel. Take care. All the best. Cheers. Bye.